Hi, this is Cheryl St.Pierre. In this video, I'm going to show you these woven bicone drop earrings. And I've done them in a light pink. I don't know if you can tell if it's a light pink. It might look white for you because things get washed out or dark in the videos. But also, I wanted to mention that I came up with a new technique, and it is a faux wrapped drop. So you will learn how to do that in this video as well. So we're going to be making the link with the bubbles or woven bicones, and then the drops to go with it to make the complete earring. And I have the list of supplies here. And I forgot to put on it that you need your wires of choice. So just take note of that. And if you want, you could take a snapshot of this and have your supplies, you know, if you're on the phone or whatever, where you can't have access to everything. So you're going to need 10 4mm bicones, 2 4x3 rondelles, 2 17x10 millimeter teardrops. Now that's what I used. If you wanted to make smaller ones, you could. You need, for copper, I'm using raw copper, dead soft. I have 2 9-inch pieces, which is 23 centimeters, of 20 gauge, which is 0.81 millimeters, dead soft wire. And for the drops, I'm using 5-inch pieces. Now, you might be able to get this out of your scraps and use some of your scraps up, which is 12.5 centimeters long of 20 gauge, 0.81 dead soft wire. For tools, it's very simple and basic. Your round nose pliers, your chain nose pliers, your flush cutters, and a ruler. I mean, I always put the ruler in there. So, okay. And one more thing before we start, I just want you to check out my paid subscriptions, where you can get my retired videos, which means you would have access to all my videos. That's the join button beside the subscribe. So that's a paid subscription. And I also have a $2.99 one that is the tips and tutorials. Now I will be making in the future the faux drop technique as in there as well, so that if you know what pair of earrings did Cheryl teach that in, you don't have to look for that. You can just look under the tips and techniques. Okay, so let's get started. So first, I want you to do, and I'm just showing you to make one because they're both exactly the same, and that's why I'm only showing one here. This was my prototype, and I'll be making one more for its pair. And the only thing I'm really mirroring on them is the drop, which is really simple and easy to do on the faux wrap. So you will see what I mean when we get to it. We're going to start first with the long piece of 20 gauge wire. That's the 9-inch piece. We're going to fold it in half. Find the center. Take your round nose pliers and make a loop like the size you would for an eardrop or ear wire. And then I want you to, oh, sorry, I was out of the camera with that. I'm just got it around there and bending it down like you would. I should have bent it down first. And I'm going to just straighten that out. Getting ahead of myself here. Okay, that should do it. Because we want this wire to be centered, and that's going to be where the first bicone goes. And we're just using 5 bicones for each drop. And now we're going to wrap around that bicone to make it have a frame. And then we're going to come around like this. And now the wire that we wrapped around is where the next bicone's going to. And we're going to use the opposite wire to wrap around that bicone. And what this does is it locks the wires in place because we're alternating. That's why we're calling it weaving, is we're alternating it. Okay, and you want to make sure that your loops go fairly flat. Introducing the next bicone on the wire that we wrapped around the last bicone. And then we're going to wrap around this. Okay, so if you watch the video for the hoop earrings like in this design, we're trying to make this a little bit narrower, and so just so you know, the beads can be spread out just a tiny bit more. Oops, that's the wrong bead. That was my rondelle. Okay, so just alternating. And now the last one. There. So that's how we would normally stop. I want you to wrap that just even more so that we're at where the hole is. And then we're going to take your chain nose pliers and bend that straight up at that point so it ends about where the hole of the bead is. And then we're going to try and budge this bottom bead more to the center, and the top bead push it back more to the center. And then if this needs straightening and centering, that's a good time to do it, because that's where it's going to hang from. So you can see how it's more slender than the hoop earrings. And now got this is the wrapped wire. I mean the wire that we did the loop with. We're taking the opposite wire and we're stabilizing it by wrapping around twice. And this is kind of like a faux wrap too, in a way. I think that's where I got my idea from, is from this, but I'm using this as a stabilizer here. Basically, it is a full wrap. I don't know why I didn't clue into that. And I just crimped that down where I snipped it off. And now, if your wrapping isn't quite level, and it might change as we manipulate things, we just take the chain nose pliers and level them out. And now I'm taking my, and we're going to do a P-loop here. I'm taking my round nose pliers, putting them here. This is the front, and I am wrapping around my back shank of my pliers so that the loop is actually a P instead of being forward. I just find that structurally it's safer to do this for this link. It's actually a link. Now, I didn't cut that close enough. I'm going to cut it shorter. It's too long. Too long. So we have an open loop here so that we can add things onto it. Okay, and I think this needs to bend over just a little bit more. Trying to center it. I think that'll work. And there, that's done. And that's simple. It's cute, it's pretty. Okay, I'm gonna set that aside. So what you need to do is pause this video and make your second one, because you're gonna need two. Okay, and now, next I'm taking my 5-inch piece of wire, and I have to pause it and grab my teardrop bead. There, just magically appeared. Okay, trick photography, right? Okay, so this this teardrop is quite large, and it fell on me again. Got it. Okay. It's quite large. You can use a smaller one if you like. But I like the look of the large one. It's going to give it lots of movement. It's got, yeah, it's an earring that has lots of movement. So it's very pretty. And what I want you to do is take your ruler and measure 2 inches, which is 5 centimeters, and give it a bend at that point. And that is where we're going to have the teardrops sit. So normally when we're mirroring, that's such a hard word to say, we have to make a reverse loop on top. We don't need to worry about that with the faux drops because it's faux. Okay, so all we need to do is, for this one, you need to have the wire on the right hand side and you're working on the right hand side. And this one, I'm going to have the wire on the left hand side. So the 2 inches is the short part where the bead sits on. The 3-inch part is where we're going to make our little cute little curl wrap. And I'm just basically doing a loop about the center of the bead, and I'm doing a fairly small loop. So you just need to pay attention to what you're doing and try and do the same thing for both, just in the reverse direction. And you want to compare the sizes of the loops, and that looks good. Okay, and then so this is on the left hand side, and now we're going to cross over onto the right hand side like that, and that's where the loop is. That's going to be the front of the bead. And before you do anything else, stop there, put your little 4 by 3 millimeter rondelle. It just gives it a finished look like that. It looks cute. And then wrap around it. Now we're going to do the full wrap, and I want to make sure I match it, because you could choose to have more wraps if you want. That's a personal choice. I've only done 2. You could do 3 or 4, but it kind of looks like 3 with this heading up there. So, but it is only 2 wraps that I'm doing. So that's 1 and 2, and I'm just gonna crimp it in. It didn't, because I was working with the camera, I didn't quite put enough tension on it. So I'm just gonna get the pliers to assist me, and I'm gonna snip it off as close as I can at the back of the drop, and then I'll crimp it in to get that end out of the way. And I'm going to straighten this out. The other one didn't get crooked, but this one is, so I'm just making it perfect. And now I'm going to, that's the front. We want, for the ear wires, we want a back loop going this way. So I'm going to pinch this down a little bit more. I'm going to bend it. You could do right or left, just the way my wire is. I prefer to do it on the right now. And then I'm going to make a loop like this. Oh, sorry, I went out of camera. I'm having a little bit of strength issue right now. I should have made my wire maybe a little bit longer, would have been easier. Okay, we want that loop to be nice and neat. When you're happy with the neatness, then you can snip it. So it's an open loop, and that's why it is faux, because we did the wrapping with the opposite wire. And now if you wanted to, you could add it onto something that's closed, which you don't always have the option. And my loop is facing, ended up facing a little bit the wrong direction with all my manipulation. You just twist it and then it's ready. And then make sure it's centered and sitting straight. Do all your checks. And there. I am not opening this loop up because my other one can open up. I want this one to sit and look pretty. So I'm just going to open up this loop, which it kind of is open already. And hook this on. Close that loop. And there it is. You might have to do minor adjustments in direction if they're not sitting absolutely straight. This one appears to be sitting quite nicely. There it is. And now I'm going to put my ear wire on and make sure it sits nicely on my ear wire as well. And it is sitting quite nicely, yes. Okay, so there it is. And there's the pair, which you didn't get to see the pair together before. And there they are. So quick, not too difficult a pair of earrings. And definitely look homemade or handmade, I should say, not homemade, and be great little sellers. And you know, the variety of colors is endless with the crystals you can buy. You just have to have all matching, of course. Okay, well, thank you for joining me in this video. God bless, and we will see you in the next one. Bye for now.